Welcome, everybody. Come on in, have a seat, listen to two of the greatest people on earth, most knowledgeable.
And also humble.
Colorado Avalanche hockey. It's Nik and Brit here with the Cluster Puck Podcast. Thanks for joining us, you guys. We got a lot of stuff to get into. I'm trying to switch up the way we're doing intros. That one didn't feel quite as good as when I say here at Center Ice. I'm Nik. This is Brit. Yeah, I tried it.
We'll keep going.
We'll go back. How are you doing, Brit?
I am good. We are in here. It feels like just about every other week. Are we coming in really whiny or really happy? And today's a happy week. So let's go.
It ended on a happy note. So that's good news. Yeah, you're absolutely
It feels
right.
like we're on the path of many more happy weeks to come. I feel like we're at
stuff's on the uptick.
Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree. Before we begin, don't forget everyone to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can follow them, at the various social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that works. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook and then at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Okay, Britt. So just a couple games to do a recap on, and then we'll kind of dive into the meat of the podcast. So last week we just had the two games that happened.
Mm-hmm.
A frustrating loss against Toronto, and then a dominant win against Dallas.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Toronto game first. Very good, I guess, and if I were to sum it up in a few short words, I'd say it was very good, but Mikko's penalty of the delay of game cost it.
Yeah, I mean, that penalty is maddening enough, even if you're not in the dying moments of a game that you're trying to save, that you probably deserve to win. And then the guy that you need more out of in all aspects of the game, I don't know. It's enough to, you just can't, when you're just, all you can do is giggle a little because that's Mikko.
No kidding. Which is so sad because I want to say he had the tying goal in the third period. He's there, and I guess let's address that first. Mikko's not going anywhere. Okay, that's the first thing. I don't want him to go anywhere. He is still one of our top 3 players. So for people to be like, he's on this dry spell, guess what? Everyone gets dry spells.
Well, and the way I see it is when Mikko is kicking butt, he is one of the very few players who can, casually is an overused term for him, but it's something that we all acknowledge that it's just a body language appearance, but it's not casual. There's something casual about it, but he is one of the very few NHL players that can skate in at a pedestrian speed on an NHL goaltender, a top tier NHL goaltender, and simply snipe it above their shoulder without any dramatics, nothing special. He has one of the most elite shots in the world. But the problem with him is everything looks easy for him. And when things are going right, we say, God, it just looks like he doesn't even have to try. But when it goes wrong, it looks like he's just the laziest, most disengaged. And it is really hard to assume, especially when we watch Mac so much. And Mac is the polar opposite. And I can't even remember. I love Pete Blackburn a ton. And on What Chaos, I don't know if you remember how he described Mac, and he said something like, it looks like he's trying to just like have a fist fight with the puck the whole game. He's just in an angry fight with the puck.
Angry
and that's
skating,
the opposite. So we're so guilty as Avs fans of quickly getting so mad at him and then realizing that he's still maintaining like almost a point per game through a lot of it, but it just looks too pedestrian and too lazy. But also I think that he is a guy that needs to be held accountable, not by just us, maybe by like his friends' dads in newspapers and stuff like that. So I don't know, but regardless of how it's coming down in the stat sheet, like the eye test is the most frustrating of all of it.
Yep, it really is. And that's the thing. It was so like 3 minutes left in the game-ish, maybe 4. Mikko gets the delay of game penalty. Just kind of one of those, he had more time than he thought type of deal. And then the thing
the
is,
most sinful penalty and the most sacred time, like it's just worst of everything.
And unfortunately, I kind of knew, just based off how the game was going, I kind of knew it was going to be a Toronto goal. Just the fact that it feels like the Avalanche started really hot, going up 2-0. And then as the game went on, they just steadily went on this decline and then tried to pick it up in that third period, but it was too little, too late. And that penalty, I just feel like was the death blow.
They just get those games where it's like every puck, every bounce, every crossbar, every little thing is just does not go in their way at all. I don't know what they do pregame to like appease the gods or not, but they definitely have games where they're doing something way wrong during their.
and I even texted that to
one
you.
Of them.
I even texted that to you during the game because Samsonov just had every ounce of puck luck go his way, because like I said, that first period they could have easily been up 4-0. Like it was that good. And just these dumb little lucky bounces or stuff off the pipes or just
and that's what Ananen gets, a lot of little lucky stuff even in the games that he's out there and he gets hung out to dry. And I think that was you that I was talking to. It's like he gets all the lucky bounces that Georgie just doesn't get lucky bounces lately. And I don't know, it's infuriating because he very rarely gets a crossbar that comes to save him, or just those ones that hit the line and who's going to be the hero. It just seems like he doesn't get those very often.
Yep, 100% correct. And I think the worst part about this loss, obviously it was frustrating because they score with like 2 minutes and 50 seconds or something like that. And you're like, well, crap, right? Is the fact that the hat trick belongs to Tyler Bertuzzi. Now,
going 27 years.
Yes, and it was on his birthday, so it's like, of course that happens, and they're wearing their black jerseys, and just the whole thing was just
and it's Saturday night hockey night in Canada.
Exactly. Yep, and I'm just making my blood boil.
And that's what I love Toronto, so I consume like a ton of Toronto media, and like listening to I was like, when I was going to listen to the Dangle podcast, I knew that they'd be all happy, cheery, joy, and like, oh, the Avs are so good, like, and they're 10 times more like complimentary and stuff, because you know what I mean. They're just like, they are good, but I don't see them as particular. They're just something not.
They're good, but not great, right? And that's that was the frustrating part about this, though, is that I know that the Avalanche are just they unlock a higher tier of play than Toronto does, because with Toronto, for example,
it's a teammanship. It's something to do with like a team play, I think.
Yeah, like for example, we shut down Austin Matthews. He got a secondary assist on Bertuzzi's third goal, but that's in a power play, right? So really, really minimal points when it comes to Matthews. So that's a plus. Yeah. But I felt like the focus was a little too much on that, instead of trying to set up our own rushes, getting the pucks back in the neutral zone, stuff like that. Yeah. So again, an annoying loss, frustrating is definitely one way to put it, but I'd say annoying.
And it's one of those losses that, like, if it came off the back of like a more normal period of time and games, it wouldn't have mattered as much. But like the Detroit and Toronto losses, they felt a lot more impactful than a regular season game should feel. And that's just because we're coming off the back of really gnarly time that we needed to see some, you know what I mean? We needed to be proven that this isn't the regular, and it just, I don't know. We need a little bit more.
100% correct. So you lose the game, you go on to the next. Hopefully you get a good rebound, which the Avalanche very much did a 100% turnaround on this one, beating the Dallas Stars at home 5-1. this game was how I know the Avalanche can play. This felt like at the beginning of the season when they won, like, what was it, 8 out of the first 10 games. This felt like that team where they went down early. They, first minute Dallas scores a goal, but then it was Avalanche the rest of the 59 minutes. And that's the style of play that I know the Avalanche are capable of.
Yeah. Well, and this game matters a lot more than that Toronto game. I mean, this is, these divisional games, especially towards the end, like those points mean a lot more. And also just like establishing dominance is, I mean, because everybody leaves knowing, who was there, who showed up, who didn't on each team, who was making a statement. And like okay, so Duchesne didn't have a point. That's cool. Apparently he's not doing that anymore, where he always gets a point every game he plays against us. Did you even hear Jason Robertson's name mentioned the whole entire night?
Once when he was recovering a puck and
I love him. I love him.
Yeah.
And then
same with Ben.
Ottinger is one of my favorite goalies in the whole entire world. And man, what do you have? 27 shots, 5 on 27.
We kind of did a number on him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the good news,
everybody there left feeling less confident, and they're a good team, but that had to be 100%. A blow for everyone.
Yep. And adversely to that, the Avalanche confidence has been regained after that big win. The good poetic justice that I found in this game is Joel Kiviranta, a minute after the Dallas Stars. Stankoven is his name, but
Stank Oven is just how I really feel like it just needs to go through. Yeah.
And he's like 5'2". Like, it's pretty incredible.
That picture of him, he scored a goal the night before and he looks like a baby.
I know, just tiny little guy. But nonetheless, he quickly made a name for himself in Dallas. So nonetheless, he scores. Kiviranta, a minute some time later, scores with the luck of the post. And I'm just like, this. It seems like the Avalanche have this thing where they pick up former Stars players and they do well.
Has Kiviranta scored since the last Stars game?
No, I think it was Star to Star game.
Such a weirdo.
He had a lot of assists during that time, but not goals. This is only his third goal of the season, which is kind of surprising because I feel like he had more.
He's definitely, he isn't awful, but he's not been very impactful as of late.
So this was definitely a good wake up goal for him to kind of get stuff kick-started again. Rantanen has a goal, McKinnon has a goal, Cogliano with a really good goal, and then Lehkonen kind of wraps it up with the 5 goals there. But I will say on that Lehkonen goal, I do want to give a little honorable mention award to Jonathan Drouin, who had
my boy, man,
nasty assist on that Lehkonen goal. I think it was the Lehkonen goal.
That is what he does. That's
the thing that I feel like gets way too drawn over is the fact that Drouin only has a handful of goals. Like, what, he's in the team.
Well, and people getting so poopy pants that he needs to shoot more. Like, dude, he is
he's got vision.
In seeing the ice.
And that's the thing is we have, and I know we come to this excuse for him more than other people, which we probably should give them that same excuse. But we have a lot of good scorers on the team, right? Yeah. And Drouin for his 23rd assist, mind you. Yeah, it was pretty nasty. Where he could have tried to plunge it in himself. Yeah, but instead there's a wide open Arturi Lehkonen with no goalie to block. So the easy option is, well, there's your give right there, right? So, and it was really amazing how he did it. You'd have to see the highlights, but I feel like Jonathan Drouin and his effort on those primary assists does not get recognized enough.
No, and that's what it's such a shame that he's being demoted down to the third line, but I'd imagine that they've explained to it in such a way and he understands the reason, because he really does deserve to stay on that first line. He has, especially when you consider we are paying him less than $1 million. Like, it's unreal what he's done. He has earned, and I think he's at 36 points we got to go back and look. I think
Somewhere.
did I call 40 points for him would be like a
I'd like to
huge
go back and
success,
see.
right? So I just it's all free money from here. I mean, he seems like he's in such a good place mentally. I want to re-sign him like right now. I'd imagine that he's probably the happiest he's been in a long time, and they're probably not concerned with him running away on us. But hopefully, and I'm sure they've explained it to him this way. Hopefully, he sees it as like a huge privilege, or even like it's I can't even think of the word. It's exciting for him that he's being put with these responsibilities after being a healthy scratch and let go for nothing. So hopefully that is exciting for him. We'll just have to see when Nuke comes back how that changes around, because to go from like kicking ass and setting up Mac Dog and then going down with Parise and Johansson. I always go for the JoJo. But he does deserve better, even with the elevated play of Johansson. And Parise is I'm still really liking him. I just have zero complaints. He's pushing himself up. I think he's coming out with the second power play.
Yeah. Number on the first penalty kill as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Is it penalty? I was trying to think, but
he's on the second.
Special teams still not great. Yeah. I love it.
I mean, we did get a couple of them though, which is rewarding. Although in that Dallas game was relatively clean, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, with Jonathan Drouin, though, going back to him, 33 points, but tied for fifth most on the team.
I have no fear that especially hopefully he can get whether we get rid of Johansson or what we do, he's definitely being deprived of some points by being down there right now with that line not really vibing. We'll see how it changes up.
Sure. And it could be that with Jonathan Drouin being put down there, maybe it was more of like a leadership kind of role to be like the captain of the line, so to speak.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, again, I don't have any concerns with him. Like I said, he's got the same amount of points as Devon Taves.
Excuse me.
Right? So, pretty impressive stuff.
Holy gravy, that one Taves turnover. He's working through it.
Yep, we lived through it, though. So,
kind of.
I'm sure he will, too, at some point. But no, the Avalanche skate away 5-1. And you mentioned, and this will go into our next segment here, you mentioned with Nichushkin is coming back. So it was announced by the NHL player rehab or player assistance program, that Val Nichushkin was cleared to return to practice with the Avalanche so that they could bring him back into regular play. And by the next day, he was already out there skating, practicing, everything like that.
Does he look like he missed a single step to you? He looks awesome.
I am so excited. I am counting down the days. Like, I'm not kidding.
Can you just imagine all the watching that going, oh shit.
Because they said, I think when they cleared Gerard from his rehab, I think it was 10 days.
Because that's what we were all like, why are they putting Olofsson on waivers now? Like, why now? It was like Wednesday at 4:00. Like, why? We don't love Wagner that much. Like, there's nothing to be so excited, which he did good. The Dallas game was such a nice serving of players doing things. Cogliano was our hero. But sometimes it's really, really, really reassuring to just see those games where you've got guys like Chris Wagner, which I think he was hurt for the beginning of the year, but they do really like him. But I don't feel like they like him enough to waive Olofsson just out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
And he cleared.
I'm glad he did clear because I didn't want to get rid of Olofsson.
He's not worthless.
I'm very happy.
Sometimes just being invisible is what you really need out of your fourth line to just calm it. Like, let things cruise and don't let in any goals. Like, don't be a liability is sometimes all that you need.
That's about getting your legs as a young gun. But they said that Nichushkin could be back as early as what they say, the 4th.
Yeah, so that's
the game back home against the Blackhawks.
Which is a good.
That's
He
a good.
kicked
That's a
butt
good
last time we played
bring
the Blackhawks. Yeah,
That'd be. I mean, if you'd want to face any team, that would probably be who you'd want to do. So,
that's exactly.
So that's good news. He's coming back. Again, that's assuming that same 10-day thing is going to happen. I don't believe he's traveling with the team for this next couple of road
No, I think
games.
I read that he's not going on those. Is anticipated to.
Yeah. So I'm assuming.
And Dater just posted that he might not even be back for the regular season. Dater is are the days of Dater just completely gone? He's lost it all.
I don't know. I thought it just said that he was gonna come back, and he said, or was that?
I thought I read him saying that they were projecting him for after the end of regular season.
Oh, well, maybe I misread it. But
he may have posted both.
Either way, I trust what the NHLPA says. So
No, there's videos of him back. He's back.
I mean, he's way back. Yeah. He's been practicing.
I just thought it was funny that Dater posted that, and then right away, he's back.
Well, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But either way, it's going to be super good to have him back. I am so excited to see his play again. And that's the thing, is they even talked about that during the game. This is the stat with Nichushkin. This is the stat without Nichushkin.
It's dumb.
And it was insane. Night and day, which was crazy. So I'm hoping for much brighter days with him. So super excited. Okay, moving on then. Nathan MacKinnon got goals or assists in those two games that we just discussed, therefore extending his home point streak to, what is it now, 29? I believe.
Yeah, and Gretzky is what,
every
40?
Home game.
40? Is the record? Is Gretzky's record? Gretzky's record. Oh, is that okay? 50?
It's somewhere between 40 and 50. We'll just say that.
At 15, you're there's absolutely no way that anybody could ever do that. And he's like, this is when we're at 10 or so, and it felt like surely it'll be done after 20 at the most. And now it's just this could actually happen.
And that's going to be the hard part. Is I want him to get to 30, because that sounds like a pretty good mark.
And major love-hate for streaks, hardcore.
I totally agree, because it's I like
that honestly sometimes it's better if it's just gone.
Right. That's exactly it. It's just
especially for him.
I just want the Band-Aid to be ripped off, but the problem is the further they trudge toward breaking a record, setting a personal best, whatever it is, it just becomes more and more difficult of a pill to swallow when it does get broken.
Yeah, well, and it does ultimately affect the game, where if you're at the end of I have the hiccups. If you're at the end of the game and 1 point down, Nate doesn't have a point yet, and you are working on scoring a goal, you know that these guys are still trying to keep in mind, we got to get that to Nate at some point to get that point. Because it does, guys always say that the individual awards and stuff don't matter, but they do. And they should. They're allowed to. We want them to.
They pay attention to it too. Don't be thinking they don't. Which is interesting, because I want to say at the end of the Dallas game, MacKinnon was doing the headset interview with the guys in the studio, and they brought up the Hart Trophy race. And MacKinnon was dead honest with them, right? And they said, what do you think of your chances? What do you think of everyone else in the group? What are your thoughts? And he goes, to be honest, I don't expect to win it. And he just flat out said that.
And that's probably wise on his part. He wants to, but you've got Matthews cruising into possibly scoring 70 goals. And should he hit 70, it's probably guaranteed that he gets it no matter what anyone else is doing. Even though, I don't know, it will be taken into consideration that it is MacKinnon's time. It is his turn. And I know that it's not a line that we're waiting in for it, but he's paid his dues. But fortunately, if anyone can mentally convince themselves to not give a shit and to play through it, it's him. To use it as fuel to play better.
And that's exactly what I think, is that he's curbed his expectations so that he just focuses on himself. So I think that was pretty good of him to say that he doesn't expect to win it, but it was definitely kind of shocking right then and there, because usually they would just give those, vanilla answers of like, yeah, that's a great group of guys, very talented.
Yeah, I got a
It'll
team
be fun to
helping me
see what
get there.
happened. Exactly. But for him, no, he just straight up said a couple times, I don't
Yeah.
expect to win it, and just moved on. So
Yeah.
So really, really interesting mental tactic for Nathan MacKinnon. Again, it probably works for him, but for me, I would have just been floored, being like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm trying my best. I don't know.
I know.
But either way, 29 games. He has the chance to extend that on Monday. Okay.
Can you imagine having season tickets? And I mean, they have been just wrecking the league at home. They just last year, the cup here, we couldn't. It was like the opposite. We were the best road team in the league for a long time.
Yeah,
just a bizarro thing, but I guess I don't know. And that's why last night's game was so important, is because it has a lot of weight into determining who's
4 point swing.
The seeding is so almost who we're playing is it's almost getting to a point where it matters less than what team, as opposed to just having that home ice advantage. This might end up being a really big deal to us, which it never has felt like it was even something that we cared about, but we do now. Yeah. And I didn't anticipate that.
Oh, and speaking of, I'm actually going to call a little audible here on the itinerary, but did you see this was the PWHL that announced this. It's a new playoff format and draft order of the selection process. Did you see that? The draft order is cool how they determine it. And I'm like, NHL has to do this now. So I just want to get your quick opinion on it. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but their idea for the next draft goes as follows. Quote, the gold plan will assign the first pick to the non-playoff team that has accrued the most points following elimination from playoff contention. Once a team is mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, it begins earning draft order points.
Yeah, I have
and
heard
the team
this
with the most draft order points at the conclusion of the regular season gets the first pick, meaning tanking, gone.
Yeah.
You still have to, because if you win after you're eliminated, you get the point. And so that encourages teams to continually try and
keep
win
it cool,
and then get that first overall pick. So I think that really does encourage the try.
Yeah.
Right?
The lifelessness, and even in the tanking teams having to still work, even because once trade deadline hits, everybody knows where you belong. You know what I mean? Yep. Other than people fighting for seating, like there's still a lot of teams that don't know for sure if they're buyers or sellers. Our Calgary, Minnesota. Yep. There's a lot of teams that are taking a look at the next few days to decide whether they're buyers or sellers. And then the second that deadline is done, they are what they are, and it's going to lose. There's going to be a lot of lackluster games to follow.
So, yes. And with that, though, for like teams, for example, San Jose right now, assuming they are the first to be mathematically eliminated, have the head start to try to get some points accrued.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Interesting.
So it does favor the last place teams in that they have more chances to start getting points, right? So the order can still be more honest.
And give us some good games where you're seeing the Sharks busting their butt.
Exactly. It still rewards effort for the eliminated teams. So like I said, it's a really, I think, great idea. And I just wanted to side note that for you.
I love it. Honestly, all of the progressive, these new age rules that the PWHL have adopted. I've loved them all.
Good. Yeah,
they're all aimed at making the game better, safer, and just more practical,
more rewarding. It's really cool. Like when you score a shorthanded goal, your guy gets out, or girl in their case.
Almost like a bunch of women running stuff. Just know how to do it better.
That's right. That PWHL, I cannot sing its praises enough, man. It's been super fun. So
it is. I really want to go to a game soon. Hopefully,
have you picked a favorite team? Or do you
I keep teetering back and forth. I need to start consuming more to figure out the vibes of each team, because I know every team, like I know the general feel of their people, their established vibe or whatever, but I got to check out the girls more. And it feels like, I just don't know if Minneapolis or Minnesota is going to be the closest, but it just feels weird cheering for Minnesota anything, like as a Broncos fan. It feels hard, but then it's also like, then I can actually have a team only 4 hours away from me.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Maybe I should stop torturing myself and picking, because Toronto is probably my other one that I would like, and that does feel like a very financially responsible idea if I ever want to actually watch them.
Well, if this sways your opinion, I have become more drawn to Minnesota. So if I were to pick a quote unquote favorite right now, I would probably say Minnesota would be that team. But again, that's just with the set of teams that are right there right now.
Yeah.
With expansion and whatnot, it could change, but right now I'm liking what I see out of Minnesota's team. So, which
at the rate everything is going, it sounds like they plan on some pretty rapid expansion here very quickly.
Oh, so, I'm really hoping so.
It's going well.
Think it's been great. I think it's been a really good job for the PWHL. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on then. Sorry with that tangent. It made me think when we said.
No, I love it. It matters. I mean, especially because generally we've seen the AHL, CHL, ECHL used as ways to test a lot of rules to see before they're brought into the NHL. The KHL in Russia or Europe, whatever, they've had some new progressive rules come through, but they can use it as something as like a guinea pig where they can, see how that worked with a more professional level, and we might see those integrated in the NHL because they were or weren't successful within the PWHL.
Yep, 100%. And speaking of teams teetering on, do we trade, do we buy and sell, all that stuff, the trade deadline is coming up. It is almost, it is around the corner. It's going to be a week from this coming Friday. March 8th, I want to say, is the official deadline date. And so far, we've only seen, out of the big moves, we've only seen one. And that is Chris Tanev, who was traded today. We're recording on a Wednesday night.
Because I don't know, like Hannafin and who did Vancouver?
Lindholm.
Yeah, we haven't really seen. They're gone. I don't think you consider those deadline moves anymore. I mean, it's just a very underwhelming trade market at this point with Gensel hurt. Isn't Monahan hurt?
I think so. Like it's just kind of been super.
All the usual suspects are hurt.
Yeah, super meh. So I'm expecting in the next week it'll pick up, and probably be an absolute nightmare in the last 2 days, which will be a lot of fun to talk about. But with that being said, Avalanche, in this trade scenario, we're going to keep it kind of broad. Do they trade? If so, where?
The way that I see it is I don't feel so. It almost feels like would you agree that our backup goalie situation is maybe settled? Because it seems like a general consensus that short of any huge fallout between now and then, between Prosvetov killing it in the AHL and Onanen playing quite well, he'll have a couple games. I would imagine they'll get him out for the Hawks game. Feels like people are really feeling like maybe we don't need to bring in. And George is playing well. So do you think we need to not bring in a backup? So after that, I don't feel like any of the other positions are like way more compelling than the other. I don't feel super compelled that we still need a wing so bad. Obviously, there's the 2C, but at this point, it seems like there's probably not going to be a bona fide 2C.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, I would like them to just get the most, like the best that's available for no matter what it is. You know what I mean? Whatever's going to give us the most positives in any of those positions, because I just don't think any of them need to be targeted more. You know what I mean? Like spending more assets to get something a little bit less when we could have filled another spot with a little bit more just because it's a name. You know what I mean? It's going to be the deadline of depth moves. all around, I think.
And I think you hit something on the head. The Avalanche kind of need to be more careful this time. Not to say that they haven't been. Every single move, with the exception of 2, like in the last 10 years, have ended up working out.
Yeah.
But just in this one, it just seems like you have everything you need, more or less, and it's going to be about kind of more minor improvements that you hope turn into majors. Right.
And the possible getting rid of Johansson might be the more important aspect of the trade.
Potentially, yeah. And even then, he's not. I mean, it's a demotion at worst with him right now. I feel like you don't need to trade him.
And of course, he's had this very small resurgence.
Exactly. Unless something dire happens.
I don't buy it, but
storm happens. I think just kind of delegation is right now the way of Johansson, but you did bring up the goalie situation with Annunen, and the thing is, we have a week, more or less, to see how he fares. We need to see him at least twice in order to see if we actually have a stable ground on goalie or not. Because the thing is, he's only played, what, 5?
Yeah. It'd be nice to give the kid a freaking win, that's for sure.
And the game against Detroit, even though it was a loss, none of it's pinned on him. He did really good.
In that locker room, they made sure that he left that building without feeling an ounce of frustration with himself.
He played himself a hell of a game, right? So I don't blame him.
And there's such a different level of maturity in his play and his confidence. My only concern, I suppose, is I don't think that we need a good backup to play and win us games. I think I want us to go out there and get a cycle, like a Mike Richter, or excuse me, who's the one that played for the Oilers? I can't think of it. What is Mike Smith?
Campbell? Mike Smith? There's Campbell, Smith.
Who's basically LTI retired right now.
I believe that's Mike Smith.
Hurt off and on, yeah. Just one of those guys that goes off every once in a while that keeps Georgie on his toes and competitive. One of those guys that's ultra competitive and just driving Georgie in practices and feeling like his spot isn't a given.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I feel like that camaraderie, and I don't know if you need to go get another Russian or and that's kind of my thing with Flower. So it sounds like ultimately Flower is not moving, which makes me wonder, is he retiring? Because I think they announced officially that he's not going anywhere.
I wonder if he goes to Pittsburgh next season and then calls it quits. So I think he's got one more in the tank, but it has to be in Pittsburgh. Maybe Vegas, but the way that soured at the end of that, I was like, maybe not. So I'd say Pittsburgh one more year and then he's done. But that's just my guess.
Yeah. There's so many weird things going around the NHL right now.
Yeah.
It's such a weird year.
So I guess to circle back around to the original question, I would probably say if there is any question area, it still is with the backup goalie.
Yeah.
Because like I said, Nichushkin's coming back, so that brings the scoring and depth back to kind of where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Defense as healthy as can be. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I'd like to probably pad a slightly younger than Johnson-esque type. And I'm sorry, and it makes me feel really, really guilty, but EJ is not it. I don't know.
I agree, but
I've heard rumblings, but I also don't like how they're treating EJ over in New York.
True.
So
very true. I think we already have that though with the guy called Sam Malinsky.
Yeah.
Much younger, but at the same time, Jack Johnson's doing.
He's played so good. Oh my God,
man!
He might be the most responsible and sustained, decent. He's just given us good, stable defense, nothing that we're not asking out of him. Nothing. Well, actually, no, I take that back because he's scored a couple goals. That dude's got
pretty good ones.
When he can go off, and he is clearly taking good care of himself, because I don't know if he's even missed a game yet this year, and he's 38. So I don't know. I really don't like it when people talk poorly of him, because he has been such the backbone of this defense. Just a good.
Which is so crazy because last year I think I was laying into him pretty bad for all these dumb
People were
turnovers
just
and whatnot.
so mad that we re-signed him again. I mean,
But
so now
I'm happy to say I was wrong. He
he
turned it
is
around.
Jared Bednar's safety blanket, his little binky that always does him so good.
There you go.
Bo Byram too. We didn't say that out loud. He has been playing well for about 4 games now.
Gotten back on
Probably
track.
Realized he's losing his bag if he doesn't when he gets traded.
Gotta turn it around or something. But he's played himself back up to a valuable position.
Yeah.
They said
that he basically locked himself in a room with Nolan Pratt, and they have been hashing out some very niche details in his game. And
good.
I hope that that's what changed, that this isn't just dumb luck, because it feels like it has to be more, because the decision making looks better on a level that's not something we can just pick out, because we don't know which dumb decision he would have made and when if he hadn't. But I really hope that it is that training with Pratt, because he looks so much more confident and loose. It's when these guys get tight is what just kills the team.
Yeah, and same with Sammy G. Guy's amazing. God. Guy is.
I will fight anyone. And I know I just said this about Jack Johnson, but oh my God.
What are you saying? Huh?
I know. Maybe if you would go get a haircut, you could hear what I'm saying. Sammy has, for his what he's given us for, oh my gosh, she's literally going to break my arm, for what we're paying him is criminal. And if you still hate him and you still think we should trade him, then you don't understand how much a player like Sammy at this point, I would imagine free agent in the summer is good. What do you think? Probably 8. He is a solid straight ass $8 million 7. I mean, he is, God, he is just, I'm so happy for him. Him and Joanne are kind of my guys that I'm just, don't pick on them. It makes me really mad. And I've had to listen to a lot of Sammy G stuff. So I just hope he can stay like that, man, because he's still a baby. We forget he's been in the NHL for so long, but that's because he was 12 years old when he started. So we have just really done a poor job of offering him some grace. So I'm very happy for how well he's doing.
Yeah. But as far as trades go, like I said, goalie, the only one to look into, but it could be that the Avs make minimal moves this season,
And that's what people need to temper their expectations and realize that, we might go out and only get, a bottom 6, even a 7th or 8th defenseman and a center. And that doesn't mean that they're punting the season. It is a sign of pledge to your guys when you tell them, we are proud of you, we have faith in you, we're going to go get this for you. But also, if they do choose not to make a huge splash, I'd imagine it's been very well established that is them saying, we trust this group we have here right now. We trust our group in Colorado. I mean, we have such a good group in Colorado, and people are getting pissy pants about not seeing Tufty and all the guys, but the Eagles are out here kicking butt. We don't want to
amazing
their season. Yeah, we can't just pull them off.
So good.
Forget that the Eagles are a functioning hockey team who still needs some regularity in their
they're high octane, man. It's pretty impressive. It's really impressive. So,
and don't forget Kovalenko. That's our trade deadline acquisition.
That's right.
Yeah. And it sounds like he could be here sooner than later. They just started the playoffs, and they're the bottom seed.
Yep, his playoffs just started, so he might be on his way over pretty soon. So, which
it sounds like third line-ish. He's not going to slot in the first, but you never know. You never know how that stuff's going to translate. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so with that being said, we'll definitely get into more detail on it next week, as it's going to be right on top of us, and maybe some moves will have been made, something notable in the league. But if something happens to the Avalanche, we'll definitely discuss it. Okay, so last item of business, I guess we'll talk about upcoming games. for next week. So we have 4 of them between the time of this recording and next Thursday. So if you guys are watching this, it'll probably be here in about 5 minutes. The Chicago game, the Avalanche at Chicago. This is one that I really want retribution on because of the loss last time. And Britt, you probably have some personal skin in the game. Because you were at that game last time they were in Chicago. So just a big solid win.
And it would take away so much of the good vibes of that Dallas win if we go out there and punt it.
It really would. It would kill
every team this season has a chance to win. So it's never a gimme. So it shouldn't feel nearly as shameful as it does, but I guarantee you it will feel very shameful if we lose tomorrow.
Yep.
It'll suck the air out of the momentum. So
yep, you're exactly right. So the big one that I have on this one is don't let the superstar shine. And when I say superstar, I'm talking about their superstar. I don't just
he's getting a little attitude. I love it. I love him. I can't not.
The guard in check. Yep. And the thing is, I enjoy him any other time, but just the Avalanche have this way of making these up and coming or newbies or whatever just look like absolute superstars because of one reason or another we crap the bed. So keeping
and the bubble's not holding him back at all. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Did you see that thing with him and his who's his right hand buddy? Foligno, yeah. Did you see
with the video games?
Foligno like telling him to pass it to him, and Bedard's like, "You're skating too slow." And Foligno said something about like, "You calling me slow?" And he said, "No, you were skating slow." And Foligno's like, "You're annoying me.
You're pissing me off, man."
You're pissing me off. It's so
pretty
cute.
Good.
It sounds like Foligno is just the guy that Bedard like needs
100%.
there. I'd much rather him than Corey Perry. So I'm glad that worked out well because Corey Perry's probably not the, I don't know, just not the vibes that Bedard needs.
So that game is on, like I said, here in a few minutes if you guys are watching this now.
Hopefully they're not playing what's his face because he likes stopping pucks against us.
Like Mrazek? Is that who you're talking
Mrazek.
about?
Yeah, I always want to say Merzlikins. Him and Merzlikins, I make up.
I mean, you're close. We give you
and
points
I like
for
them
being
both.
close.
I like both of them, and they're both very, very streaky. So they can
100%.
both play really, really good when the time is right, when they're playing
That's
the
exactly right. Okay, so after the Chicago game, the Avalanche then traveled to Nashville for a Saturday matinee-ish game at 4.
And they don't suck anymore, apparently.
What's
They're
that?
just doing stuff. They apparently don't suck as bad as we all thought they did.
Which is so strange because apart from your big 3, there's not like it's difficult for me to name players. It's kind of crazy. This is another game where, if I'm not mistaken, the last time we were there, we lost in the most frustrating fashion, giving up 2 goals in 45 seconds. The last 45 seconds. This is another game, once again, where I need the sweet taste of revenge in my mouth, or I'm going to scream.
We do have like a little revenge tour to get on, don't we?
We have quite the revenge tour for these next 4.
Fortunately, all the teams suck. We need to get our revenge against.
I know, but
so dumb.
This Predators one, you're gonna have to keep quiet the hot hand, and right now it's Roman Josi.
I always forget that he exists. Remember, everybody thought he was just as good as
Allie considers him his quote Swiss, her Swiss miss. So wow, it's the nickname of the century, man. I tried to say, well, that's the same thing with Nico Hischier, right? And she screamed. So clearly it's a selective Swiss miss comment. But anyway, the hot hand right now, Roman Josi, Forsberg is obviously still there, Nyquist, O'Reilly, they got names, like I said, but
the O'Reilly thing is so weird. Like I feel like
it's just going to be one of those things where, you know how Matt Duchene always scored on the Avs. Ryan O'Reilly also had a little knack for doing that, right? So this game being
we should have brought him in, or do you think would that have upset the I've said vibes entirely too much in this podcast, but would it upset the balance of power and like expectation of
guess
It's
guess
just
my
not right.
answer
Can you
would-
bring back an old captain who kind of left under weirdness?
I guess my answer would be depends on what year you're talking about. Because if it were
Yeah.
the Stanley Cup winning season, my answer is no. We didn't need to.
Mhm.
Last year, potentially. This year,
Do you think that
potentially.
Gabe has to be there so that it can be? If you were to bring back an old captain, do you have to have a strong captain in place already so that it can set the tone right from the start?
Yeah.
Or do you think that
and
you
that's
would
the
have had
thing.
to come in feeling like the captain?
I feel
that
like
would've
it kind of resets when an old captain comes back. Because he left, right? And then the captaincy goes
Yeah.
to somebody else, right? So if he were to come back, Landeskog clearly would still be the captain, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But
that's
I
just
definitely
wonder
see where
if
you're coming from. It's a very thought-provoking question. But
Yeah.
no, I'd say ultimately he just slots into where he needs to be, maybe as an alternate captain. But
yeah, because I mean,
yeah,
I don't think most of Colorado. I love O'Reilly, and
Sure.
it's just I don't know how you couldn't. And I think he's still best buddies with everyone, isn't he?
yeah, Tyson Berry
Yeah.
included.
Yeah,
Maybe that's who we go after.
chuck him in.
I would be happy with that.
It would be the worst option out there, that's for sure, and probably a better one than Eric Johnson. Just like, oh my boy, he needs to just retire right now and come back and be head office.
Come back and do a front office job.
Yes.
But either way, in the Nashville game, again, just keeping tabs on Yossi specifically, and then making sure nobody else just happens to pop off like Bertuzzi did against us last week, because that one sucked.
Bertuzzi is one of the ones that I wanted him, but I don't think he's going to stay in Toronto.
I think he only had his sights on Eastern Conference teams anyway. So
I don't think he wanted to go to Toronto.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, and then after the Predators game on Monday, we then go to Ball Arena where we play the Blackhawks again. So same thing. I'm just going to keep the same notes to keep it short. Potentially,
it would get really awkward and sloppy if we dropped 2 games to them.
It would be really disappointing, right? So if you lose that first game, which you better not, you sure as hell better not win that. Better not lose that second game, because that would just be disgusting.
Yeah, and it's just not that hard to do anymore. So they have got to not play down to their opponents because,
yeah. So that's the second of the 2 Blackhawks games. Again, same notes as before. Don't let the superstars all of a sudden become outrageously good, because it would suck even more if it were on home ice.
Maybe we'll get a Mason Ben fight.
Oh, we could.
Sorry, I was in a trail of would we see Dallas first round if I was way too deep.
It's a wild race in the Central. That's the thing. It's separated by 2 points. We could see Winnipeg or Dallas. We could see the wild card. Like, it's crazy.
Sorry, I didn't share my thought process there with you, but I was just thinking, if we were to lose to Chicago and really end up going in as the bottom seed and play Dallas, before we wrap this up here?
Yeah,
there's so much. The seeding has been weighing on me so much. Who is your least desirable first round? Like, what scares you the most? Whether it's home ice or away ice, like, who do you think is? Because I don't think that the top, even if Winnipeg and Vancouver are the top, I don't see them as the most threatening to us.
Well, so you say
Dallas scares me the most.
You say just first round, right? So
let's go with first round.
Okay, so there's a few teams. We'll just say as it stands right now. So let me pull that up. So we could either play Dallas, Winnipeg, Los Angeles, Nashville for now. That's kind of the clear-cut potential.
Okay, and so then let's also do second round too. Just thinking about the general teams that we pretty much know. But Dallas scares me more than basically anyone in the the Western. I think so.
That's interesting.
And I don't know why, because I just feel like we just kind of kick the shit out of each other. Is it the bubble? Is that what's stuck in my head? Is that like traumatizing one where we had to put Hutchison and JoJo in one game?
You might still not have gotten over the breakup text from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe it's just some PTSD because God, they are just.
Because if the game
But also, when
yesterday,
Ottinger is good, he's good.
the game 7 Ottinger, I haven't forgot about, mind you.
It's
But you
disgusting.
have to remember, they still lost that series. Ottinger's the only guy that
Why
kept
did they
them in
lose that?
because he finally gave one up to Johnny Gaudreau.
And it's crazy because Sutter and who are their dudes? Sutter and Ben, they were old then. 4 years ago they were old. And they're still, I don't know.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say Dallas, because to me it's Winnipeg that is the more worrisome.
I just can't buy it. I don't know what's wrong with me.
I totally see where you're coming from, because Winnipeg was kind of just for the last however many seasons,
they literally can't even get people to come watch them while they're winning the world.
It's similar to Vancouver, where it's like, wait a minute, how are you good? It's people are still trying to wrap their head around it.
Don't buy
All
it.
the meanwhile, that leaves them thinking, well, the Winnipeg's not good, and then just bam, they get hit with this massive loss. So to me, it's one of those, you have to mentally be prepared for Winnipeg and quit thinking, oh, we're easily better than them. No, you're not. Right? Yeah. They had the league lead in points for a good long while before Vancouver finally had
they could seriously be like the biggest sleeper, I think.
Exactly.
I don't know why they're a sleeper to so many of us, because they're leading the league in tons of I don't know.
Which here's the thing, there is a strong potential, and setting Avalanche fandom aside, there's a strong potential your Western Conference final is Winnipeg Vancouver.
Ew.
Isn't that something wild?
They both seem like a couple of chokers to me.
And that's what
Vancouver.
That's what everyone thinks, though, right? And so it's totally possible. I 100% could see why.
It's hard to know, because the Jets were supposed to be good last year too, though.
And you're absolutely right. But with some personnel changes and all that kind of stuff, getting rid of Dubois probably was the best move for them. I just think that might be the thing in the first round. I would not want to see them in that. Yeah. And then I might even say that second round. So
I have been pleading with myself, just I need to go see a hypnotist to convince me that Winnipeg is a real team. And same with Vancouver. I just can't. I don't know. There's just something stuck in my brain. I don't know.
Yeah, they're legit. So and I would probably say them for the second round as well. I mean, no one big really scares me in those two rounds more than Winnipeg. So
the Kings were supposed to be it. It's so crazy how they just it's crazy. I suppose, do you think they're gonna trade the world to go out and get Saros? But I don't think that they can be saved at this point for this year.
Yeah, and with the way they're heading down. Yeah, could be.
Rob Blake gonna be coming back to Colorado here soon.
It could be. Exactly right. Okay, so then finishing off the last game of the upcoming games, Wednesday Night Hockey on TNT presents.
We're done. I'm sorry.
The Avalanche and Red Wings. This is once again one more stop on the revenge tour for this week, because again, the last time you played them, overtime loss. You let Annunen down. You know what I mean? A little
revenge tour.
And so again, just good old fashioned revenge.
Beating the teams that you should.
Yep.
It's really, which can sometimes seem harder for some reason than beating the teams you shouldn't.
No, and that just seems to be the MO a lot of the times with the Avalanches. They'll just absolutely steamroll teams like Dallas 5-1.
And that's how there's a lot of, it seems like we had matured out of that, but look at the Leafs. They do the same thing. Look at Boston. Are you following? Boston has blown 7 leads.
Crazy.
It's a weird year. So when you think that the Avs are the worst and we're so unpredictable, we got to go scroll around. This league is weird.
My wife, the Rangers fan that she is, goes on a roller coaster of emotions, because before the All-Star break, they were losing. They were dropping games like flies.
Yeah.
So it happens to anyone.
It's really hard to know what to feel about them.
Yep.
Is Allie, is she Does she feel really good about them being cup contenders this year? Or how is she feeling? Because I know she's a realistic person.
It depends on the day you ask her, to be completely honest, because right now,
it's like us, right?
Riding the winning streak or whatever that they had, yeah, she could probably tell you yes. But before the All-Star break, she would probably say, no, we're not even making it to the playoffs. Granted, they were in first place in their division and still are. So it just depends on the day, ultimately. So maybe the one thing I do hope in this Avalanche Red Wings game upcoming, a fight or 2 or 12 would be kind of cool.
Just
bring back some old
sake
bad
of it
blood.
for good old times.
just to kind of reminisce. Maybe there's no like real ill will towards the team since they're on like separate conferences now. But
that's not after?
Could be fun.
Is that after the deadline? No, that would be 2 weeks out. No, okay, I was gonna say
no. That'd be the game.
Okay.
Right before deadline day, so the 6th.
So you won't have any new like AHL guys moving up and down in that frenzy.
Potentially, it all
looking to prove themselves.
I guess it depends on what move goes where, but yeah. Right now, no, that'll be a couple days before the deadline. So okay, well, good deal. That takes care of all the items that we were going to talk about. Britt, I don't know if you have anything else you want to bring up.
I don't think so. I think that's everything.
Okay, good deal. Well, thank you once again, everyone, for joining us in this episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast. Like we said, the Chicago game is probably happening puck drop here really soon. So go ahead and tune into that game to hopefully see them win. We appreciate you guys' viewership. Again, if you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. You can follow them on the various social media platforms. You can also follow us on our socials, Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, let's hope we go 4 for 4 wins across the board. I'd love to see a win streak.
Yes.
And hopefully we get some pretty maybe big news with trades that we could discuss next week.
I know.
Maybe not jaw-dropping, but something
gigantic noteworthy. Or entirely underwhelming. I just don't
with
feel...
the Coyotes.
No, we are getting Sidney Crosby. Like I'm not going to drop it until the clock is
until he's either retired and his jersey's up in the rafters, or it actually does happen, right?
Tell you what, man. Part of me hates the idea of him ever wearing anything other than Pittsburgh jersey, but then I'm like, we're just Ray Borking it, dude. We're Ray Borking it.
There you go. Okay, well, we hope you guys have an enjoyable rest of the week. Appreciate you guys' viewership again, and as always, go Avs go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.